Hey guys, tonight we are venturing into a land of whispers and shadows, a place where ancient magic lingers in the air and destiny is reflected in the most unexpected of surfaces. Imagine yourselves nestled in a tiny, thatch-roofed cottage, the wind howling outside like a hungry wolf, and the only light coming from a flickering candle on the windowsill. You might think a nice warm beverage and a good night's rest are on the cards, but trust me, you probably won't survive this journey in one piece, metaphorically speaking, of course. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I love hearing from all corners of the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are born in a village so small, it barely registers on any map, a mere scattering of thatched roofs nestled between a whispering forest and a babbling brook. Life is simple, marked by the changing seasons and the rhythms of the harvest. But even in this remote corner of the world, strange things happen. Crops wither inexplicably in one field while flourishing in another. Animals act strangely, and the villagers whisper of omens. You remember, even as a young child, feeling a sense of unease, as if the very air around you is charged with a hidden energy. The local folklore speaks of ancient powers residing in the forest, powers that can bring both blessing and ruin. You dismiss these tales as old wives' ramblings, yet the unsettling feeling persists. One evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, you witness something truly bizarre. A flock of birds, hundreds strong, suddenly falls silent and plummets to the ground, only to rise again moments later, chirping as if nothing had happened. Historians still argue whether such events were simply the result of natural phenomena misinterpreted through a superstitious lens, or if they indeed signaled something more profound. It is known that in the medieval period, unusual weather events and natural disasters were often seen as divine signs or portents of things to come. Consider the Great Comet of 1577, which was widely believed to foretell significant political and social upheaval. You share your concerns with your grandmother, a woman with eyes as deep and knowing as the ancient forest. She simply smiles, a cryptic smile that sends shivers down your spine. The world is full of mysteries, child, she says, her voice raspy with age. Some are meant to be understood, and some are not. But mark my words, the signs are there for those who know how to see them. Perhaps the quirkiest omen that your grandmother recounts involves a three-legged hare that was said to bring either immense fortune or terrible misfortune, depending on whether it crossed your path from left to right or vice versa. Superstitions like these were a common part of life, shaping people's actions and influencing their decisions. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. The strange occurrences continue, growing more frequent and more unsettling. You feel a growing sense of restlessness, a feeling that you are destined for something more than the quiet life of a village farmer. Little do you know that your life is about to change forever, set on a path filled with magic, mystery, and the daunting prospect of self-discovery. It's all shaping up to be one heck of a ride. Just try not to fall asleep, unless, of course, you want a three-legged hare to influence your dreams. One day, a traveling merchant arrives in your sleepy village, his wagon laden with exotic goods from faraway lands. Silk scarves shimmer like captured rainbows, spices perfume the air with unfamiliar scents, and intricately carved trinkets gleam under the afternoon sun. The villagers gather around his wagon, their eyes wide with wonder, eager to trade their meager earnings for a glimpse of the outside world. But it's not the goods that capture your attention, it's the merchant himself. He is a man of the world, with weathered skin and eyes that seem to hold 1,000 stories. He speaks of distant kingdoms, of mythical creatures, and of powerful artifacts hidden in forgotten corners of the earth. You find yourself drawn to him, captivated by his tales of adventure and intrigue. You're usually a bit shy, but you feel this strange pull, like he knows something about you. As the villagers disperse, the merchant notices you lingering by his wagon. He smiles, a knowing smile that makes you feel both intrigued and slightly unnerved. You have the eyes of a seeker, young one, he says, his voice a low rumble. You yearn for something more than this simple life. He then pulls out a small, intricately carved box from beneath a pile of silk scarves. He opens the box, revealing a piece of polished obsidian, as dark and smooth as a moonless night. Have you heard of the Mirror of Eitheld? He asks, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You shake your head, intrigued. No, I haven't. What is it? Legend says it's a mirror that doesn't reflect your current appearance, but rather shows who you are truly meant to be, the merchant explains. It reveals your destiny, your potential, your true self. Of course, you immediately think this is utter hogwash, but you play along, because, well, boredom is a strong motivator. Historians have often noted the prevalence of myths and legends surrounding mirrors in the medieval period. They were not just objects of vanity, but were often seen as possessing magical properties, capable of revealing hidden truths or acting as portals to other worlds. Some believed that mirrors could even trap a person's soul. Think about it, you've probably heard the myth that vampires don't cast reflections. The merchant continues, it is said to be hidden in a place of great power, guarded by ancient forces. Many have sought it, but none have ever returned. He pauses, looking you directly in the eye. Are you brave enough to seek it out? He tells you wild tales, like how one seeker was turned into a giant turnip, and another was forced to sing opera to a grumpy badger. Okay, he probably didn't say those things, but that's what you hear in your head. The idea seems insane, utterly ludicrous, yet something inside you stirs. A spark of adventure, a yearning for something beyond the ordinary. You realize that you've always felt like an outsider in this village, like you don't quite belong. The thought of discovering your true destiny, of finally understanding your place in the world, is too tempting to resist. Yes, you say, your voice barely a whisper. I will seek the Mirror of Eitheld. The merchant smiles, his eyes gleaming with amusement. Very well, he says. But be warned, the path is fraught with danger. Many will try to stop you, and the mirror itself may reveal truths you are not prepared to face. He gives you a tattered map, its markings faded and cryptic, and a small, silver amulet. This will protect you from harm, he says. But remember, the greatest weapon is your own mind. And with that, the merchant packs up his wagon and disappears as quickly as he came, leaving you standing alone with the map, the amulet, and the weight of your decision. You hold the map close, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. The path ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear, your life will never be the same. The map leads you away from the familiar fields and into the dark and forbidding forest that borders your village. It's a place the villagers avoid, a place of twisted trees, tangled undergrowth, and whispering shadows. They say it's haunted by ancient spirits and dangerous creatures, a place where the unwary can easily lose their way and never be seen again. Perfect for a Sunday stroll, then. As you enter the forest, the air grows heavy and still. The sunlight struggles to penetrate the dense canopy, casting the forest floor in a perpetual twilight. You can feel the eyes of unseen creatures watching you from the shadows. You clutch the silver amulet tightly, hoping it will offer some protection against the dangers that lurk within. You follow the barely visible path, pushing through thickets of thorns and wading through murky streams. The map is vague, its markings more suggestive than precise. You rely on your instincts, trusting that you are heading in the right direction. It's basically the medieval equivalent of relying on a dodgy GPS signal. The trees grow taller and more gnarled, their branches reaching out like skeletal arms. The silence is broken only by the rustling of leaves and the occasional hoot of an owl. You feel a growing sense of isolation, as if you are the only person left in the world. Along the way, you encounter strange and unsettling sights. Twisted trees that resemble human figures, glowing mushrooms that pulse with an eerie light, and stones arranged in unnatural patterns. You try to rationalize these things, telling yourself that they are merely tricks of the light or the products of your imagination. But deep down, you know that something more is at play. One quirky fact is that medieval peasants often used forests for foraging, hunting, and even grazing their animals, despite the perceived dangers. It was a vital resource, but also a place of fear and superstition. Can you imagine trying to find your way through this spooky forest looking for mushrooms for dinner? Historians still argue about the extent to which the medieval population understood the natural world. While they possessed a wealth of practical knowledge about plants and animals, their understanding was often intertwined with folklore and superstition. They didn't exactly have Bill Nye the Science Guy to turn to for answers. As darkness begins to fall, the forest becomes even more menacing. The shadows lengthen and twist, taking on grotesque shapes. You hear strange noises in the distance, howls, growls, and whispers that seem to come from all directions. You quicken your pace, desperate to find shelter before nightfall. You stumble upon a small clearing, a patch of open ground surrounded by towering trees. In the center of the clearing is a crumbling stone altar, its surface covered in moss and lichen. You decide to make camp here, hoping that the altar will offer some protection from the dangers of the night. You gather firewood and build a small fire, its flames casting dancing shadows on the surrounding trees. You eat some dried meat and hard bread, your meager rations tasting like sawdust in your mouth. You try to sleep, but the forest seems to be alive with unseen activity. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sends a jolt of fear through your body. Just when you think you can't take it anymore, a pair of glowing eyes appears in the darkness. You freeze, your heart pounding in your chest. A wolf, its fur as black as night, steps into the clearing. It stares at you with cold, calculating eyes, its teeth bared in a silent snarl. And you thought the biggest danger was getting lost. This journey is already turning into a real page-turner. You just hope you live long enough to see how it ends. The wolf circles the clearing, its eyes never leaving you. You stand your ground, clutching the silver amulet, trying to project an air of confidence you don't feel. You remember your grandmother telling you that wolves are creatures of respect, that they only attack if they sense fear. Easier said than done when you're staring down a snarling beast in the middle of a dark forest. Suddenly, the wolf speaks. Its voice is a low growl, but the words are clear and understandable. You seek the mirror of Ethelred, it says. Why? You are taken aback. A talking wolf. You'd have thought you'd had one too many fermented berries. I seek to know my destiny, you reply, your voice trembling slightly. To understand who I am meant to be. The wolf snorts, a sound that sends a shiver down your spine. Destiny is a fickle thing, it says. It is not something to be sought, but something to be earned. It tells you that the forest is protected by ancient guardians, creatures of magic and wisdom. To pass through their domain, you must prove your worth. Answer my riddle, the wolf says, and I will allow you to continue on your path. I have cities, but no houses, forests, but no trees, and water, but no fish. What am I? You rack your brain, trying to come up with an answer. The wolf stares at you expectantly, its patience wearing thin. You consider offering it a tasty treat, but you suspect that bribery is not an option. After what feels like an eternity, the answer comes to you. A map, you say. The wolf nods, its eyes softening slightly. Correct, it says. You have proven yourself worthy of the first trial. But the wolf is not the only guardian of the forest. As you continue on your path, you encounter other creatures, each with its own riddle or challenge. You meet a wise old owl who asks you to name the constellations in the night sky, and a mischievous sprite who challenges you to a game of hide-and-seek among the trees. Historians will tell you that in medieval times, people really did look up to the stars, not just for navigation, but also for understanding their place in the cosmos. Astrology was a pretty big deal, influencing everything from medicine to agriculture. You also encounter a grumpy badger who demands that you recite a poem from memory. The quirky thing about this badger is that it only accepts poems written in Old English. Luckily, you happen to remember a few lines from *Beowulf*. Thanks, high school English class. Historians still debate the extent to which literacy was widespread in the medieval period, but it is clear that poetry and storytelling played a vital role in preserving and transmitting knowledge. Although, whether grumpy badgers appreciated it is another matter entirely. Each challenge tests your intelligence, your courage, and your compassion. You learn to trust your instincts, to think on your feet, and to rely on the kindness of strangers, even if those strangers are talking animals. After passing through the trials of the forest, you begin to feel a change within yourself. You are no longer the naive villager who set out on this quest. You are stronger, wiser, and more confident than you ever thought possible. You're basically leveling up in a medieval RPG. As you near the edge of the forest, you encounter one final guardian, a towering treant, its bark as thick as stone and its branches reaching towards the sky. The treant blocks your path, its eyes filled with ancient wisdom. You have proven yourself worthy to pass through my domain, it says, its voice a deep rumble. But be warned, the path ahead is even more dangerous than the one you have already traveled. Are you sure you wish to continue? You pause, considering the treant's words. You know that the quest for the Mirror of Evil is fraught with peril, but you have come too far to turn back now. You are determined to discover your destiny, no matter the cost. Yes, you say, your voice filled with determination. I will continue. The treant nods, its branches swaying gently in the wind. Then go, it says. And may the forest guide you. The treant then adds, just watch out for the squirrels, they're real jerks. Emerging from the forest, you find yourself standing before a crumbling tower, its stones weathered and cracked by the passage of time. It stands on a small hill overlooking a desolate landscape, a stark contrast to the lush greenery of the forest. The tower looks ancient, like it has been standing there for centuries, slowly decaying under the relentless gaze of the sun and moon. The air around the tower feels heavy, charged with a strange energy. You can sense that this place was once a center of great power, a place where magic thrived. Now, it is a ruin, a testament to the fleeting nature of time and the impermanence of all things. Still, you have to admit, the view is pretty good. You approach the tower cautiously, your senses on high alert. The entrance is a gaping hole in the wall, the wooden door long since rotted away. You step inside, and the darkness swallows you whole. The interior of the tower is damp and musty, the air thick with the scent of decay. You can hear the scurrying of rats and the fluttering of bats in the upper levels. The walls are covered in faded tapestries and crumbling frescoes, depicting scenes of mythical creatures and arcane rituals. You explore the tower, moving from room to room, searching for any clue that might lead you to the Mirror of Eveld. You find dusty books filled with strange symbols and forgotten languages, broken vials that once held potent potions, and rusted weapons that were once wielded by powerful warriors. One quirky thing you discover is a collection of recipes for bizarre medieval remedies. Apparently, crocodile dung was once used as a sunscreen, and powdered fox lungs were believed to cure asthma. You definitely wouldn't want to try those at home. Remember that for a future pub quiz answer, though. Historians still argue about the extent to which medieval medicine was based on science or superstition. While some remedies were undoubtedly effective, others were clearly based on folklore and magical thinking. I mean, seriously, crocodile dung? As you ascend the winding staircase, you hear a faint whisper in the air. It sounds like a woman's voice, soft and ethereal, calling your name. You stop and listen, trying to discern the source of the sound. Seek the hidden chamber, the voice whispers. Where the stars align and the moon casts its silver light. You continue climbing, your heart pounding in your chest. The staircase is crumbling beneath your feet, and you fear that it might collapse at any moment. Finally, you reach the top of the tower, emerging onto a small, circular platform. The platform is open to the sky, offering a panoramic view of the surrounding landscape. The stars are shining brightly overhead, and the moon is a sliver of silver in the inky blackness. You feel a surge of energy, as if the tower itself is alive and resonating with the celestial bodies above. In the center of the platform is a large, stone table, its surface covered in intricate carvings. You run your fingers over the carvings, feeling the ancient energy that emanates from them. You realize that this is the hidden chamber the voice spoke of, the place where the stars align and the moon casts its silver light. As you examine the table more closely, you notice a small, hidden compartment. You open the compartment, and inside you find a rolled-up parchment. You unroll the parchment, and you realize that it is a map, even older and more cryptic than the one the merchant gave you. This map depicts a series of constellations, along with a series of symbols that you don't recognize. You realize that the map is not of this world, but of the heavens. It is a map to the stars, a guide to finding the Mirror of Eveld. You study the map carefully, trying to decipher its secrets. You realize that the symbols correspond to different locations on Earth, places where the constellations align in a specific pattern. These places are scattered across the globe, each one a potential hiding place for the mirror. Well, this just got a whole lot more complicated. Time to pack your bags, again. The map leads you on a journey across vast distances, from windswept plains to towering mountain ranges. You travel by foot, by horse, and even by boat, following the cryptic clues hidden within the starry parchment. Each location is marked by a specific alignment of constellations, a celestial marker that guides you on your quest. Your first stop is a remote desert oasis, where the constellation of Scorpio aligns with a hidden spring. You spend days searching for the spring, enduring scorching heat and blinding sandstorms. Just when you are about to give up hope, you stumble upon a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. Inside the cave, you find a pool of crystal-clear water, reflecting the image of the stars above. You drink from the pool, and a surge of energy courses through your veins. You feel a connection to the stars, a sense of understanding the universe that you have never experienced before. Next, you journey to a snow-capped mountain peak, where the constellation of Ursa Major aligns with a towering glacier. The climb is treacherous, the air thin and biting. You battle fierce winds and navigate icy crevasses, pushing yourself to your physical and mental limits. At the summit, you find a small, stone shrine, its surface covered in ancient runes. You touch the runes, and a vision floods your mind. You see the Earth from space, a swirling blue marble suspended in the vastness of the cosmos. You realize that you are part of something much larger than yourself, a small but significant piece of the cosmic puzzle. One quirky detail that emerges from your research, because, of course, you're doing research along the way, right, is that medieval mapmakers often included mythical creatures and fantastical lands on their maps, even if they had no basis in reality. Think sea monsters, mermaids, and lands inhabited by dog-headed people. Talk about creative cartography. Historians still debate the motivations behind these embellishments. Were they simply flights of fancy, or did they serve a deeper purpose, perhaps to fill in the unknown and make the world seem less frightening? Or maybe they were just trying to sell more maps. As you continue your journey, you begin to notice a pattern in the locations marked on the map. Each location is a place of power, a place where the veil between worlds is thin. You realize that the Mirror of Eithel is not hidden in a physical location, but in a place that exists between realities, a place that can only be accessed through specific alignments of celestial energy. You next find yourself in a bustling medieval city, which feels weird, given your recent adventures in the wilderness. Amidst the crowded streets and noisy marketplaces, you need to decipher another clue from the map. You find it in the city's grand library, after dodging a few pickpockets and overly enthusiastic merchants. Inside an old astronomy textbook, you learn the location of your next stop, a sunken city. Your journey is not without its challenges. You are pursued by shadowy figures, agents of a secret society who seek to possess the Mirror of Eithel for their own nefarious purposes. You must use all your cunning and skill to evade them, relying on your wits and your knowledge of the stars. Maybe that crocodile dung sunscreen would come in handy, probably not. You learn to speak different languages, to navigate unfamiliar cultures, and to trust your instincts in the face of danger. You are constantly evolving, becoming more resourceful, more resilient, and more attuned to the hidden energies that flow through the world. The journey is long and arduous, but you never lose sight of your goal. You are driven by a deep desire to understand yourself, to discover your true destiny, and to unlock the power of the Mirror of Eithel. You know that the answers you seek lie at the end of this quest, and you are willing to face any challenge to reach them. Your journey takes a dramatic turn as the map leads you to the coast, to a place where the land plunges into the sea. Here, according to the stars, lies a sunken city, swallowed by the waves centuries ago. It is said to be a place of ancient magic, a place where the echoes of the past still linger in the depths. The locals whisper of the city's demise, blaming it on the wrath of the gods or a terrible curse. They warn you against venturing into the waters, telling tales of monstrous creatures and restless spirits that guard the ruins. You, of course, ignore their warnings. You find a grizzled old fisherman willing to take you out to the site of the sunken city. He eyes you with suspicion, muttering about foolish adventurers and the dangers of the deep. But the gold you offer him is too tempting to resist. As you sail towards the spot marked on the map, the air grows heavy and still. The sea turns a dark, ominous green, and a thick fog rolls in, obscuring the horizon. You feel a sense of foreboding, as if the ocean itself is warning you to turn back. You reach the site, and the fisherman drops anchor. He refuses to go any further, claiming that the spirits of the city will drag him down to a watery grave. He gives you a diving bell, a crude contraption made of wood and glass that will allow you to explore the ruins underwater. You descend into the depths, the diving bell creaking and groaning under the pressure. The water grows colder and darker, and the sunlight fades away. You feel a sense of isolation, as if you are the only person left in the world. As you reach the bottom, the sunken city comes into view. It is a ghostly sight, its buildings and streets eerily preserved by the cold, dark water. Schools of fish dart through the ruined archways, and seaweed sways in the gentle currents. You step out of the diving bell and begin to explore the city. The silence is deafening, broken only by the muffled sound of your own breathing. You feel like you are walking through a dream, a forgotten world brought back to life by your presence. One quirky detail about medieval diving bells is that they were sometimes used for salvage operations, to recover treasures from sunken ships. Imagine trying to find a lost gold doubloon in this creepy city. Although, considering your luck so far, you'd probably just find a rusty bucket. Historians still debate the extent to which medieval divers were able to explore underwater environments. While diving bells provided a limited amount of time and space, they were far from perfect, and divers faced numerous risks, including drowning, hypothermia, and the bends. Forget treasure, just surviving would have been a victory. As you explore the sunken city, you begin to hear whispers in your mind, faint voices that seem to emanate from the stones themselves. They speak of forgotten rituals, of ancient prophecies, and of a powerful artifact hidden within the city's depths. You follow the whispers, navigating through the labyrinthine streets and crumbling buildings. You pass through grand plazas and ornate temples, all now inhabited by strange and unsettling creatures. You encounter ghostly figures, the spirits of the city's former inhabitants, trapped between worlds. They seem to be trying to communicate with you, to warn you of some impending danger. You also encounter monstrous fish, their eyes glowing in the darkness, their teeth razor-sharp. They guard the city jealously, attacking anyone who dares to trespass on their domain. As you delve deeper into the city, you begin to feel a growing sense of dread. The whispers become louder and more insistent, and the shadows seem to close in around you. You realize that you are not alone in this place, and that something powerful and malevolent is watching your every move. The sunken city presents you with a series of trials, each designed to test your courage, your intelligence, and your compassion. The whispers guide you, but they also lead you into danger, forcing you to confront your deepest fears and insecurities. One of the first trials involves navigating a treacherous maze of underwater tunnels. The tunnels are dark and claustrophobic, and the currents are strong and unpredictable. You must rely on your instincts and your knowledge of the stars to find your way through. You encounter dead ends, collapsing walls, and hidden traps. You must swim through narrow passages, crawl through tight spaces, and hold your breath for extended periods of time. You feel like you're trapped in a watery escape room designed by a sadist. Another trial involves confronting your own reflection. You come across a large, polished mirror, its surface miraculously preserved by the salt water. As you gaze into the mirror, you see not your own face, but a distorted and grotesque image of yourself, representing your deepest flaws and insecurities. You must confront this image, accept your imperfections, and forgive yourself for your past mistakes. Only then will the mirror shatter, allowing you to pass through to the next level. One quirky thing about medieval beliefs regarding reflections is that they were often associated with vanity and deception. Looking too long at your reflection was seen as a sign of pride, and mirrors were sometimes used in magical rituals to conjure spirits or glimpse the future. Imagine if everyone with a selfie addiction was considered a sorcerer. Historians still debate the extent to which medieval people understood the nature of light and reflection. While they possessed a basic understanding of optics, their explanations were often intertwined with philosophical and religious beliefs. It's safe to say they wouldn't have understood the physics of a funhouse mirror. As you progress through the trials, you are forced to make difficult choices that will determine your fate. You must decide who to trust, who to help, and who to leave behind. You encounter other adventurers who have also come to the sunken city in search of treasure or knowledge. Some are kind and helpful, while others are selfish and treacherous. You must learn to discern between friend and foe, relying on your intuition and your judgment. You are also faced with moral dilemmas, situations where there is no easy answer. You must choose between saving yourself and saving others, between upholding your principles and compromising your values. It's like a medieval version of Sophie's Choice but with more seaweed. One particularly difficult choice involves a binding oath. You are asked to swear an oath to protect the city from harm, to safeguard its secrets, and to honor its memory. But the oath comes with a price. It requires you to sacrifice something you hold dear, something that is essential to your own happiness. Do you take the oath knowing that it will change your life forever? Or do you refuse, risking the wrath of the city's spirits and forfeiting your chance to find the Mirror of Evil? The choice weighs heavily on your mind. You know that whatever you decide, there will be consequences. You must weigh the potential rewards against the potential costs and make a decision that you can live with. After much deliberation, you make your choice. You swear the oath, sacrificing your most cherished possession in order to protect the sunken city. The spirits of the city are pleased, and they grant you access to the final chamber, where the Mirror of Evil awaits. Leaving the sunken city, you feel the weight of the oath you've sworn, a constant reminder of the sacrifice you made. The fisherman, wide-eyed and babbling about sea monsters, quickly rows you back to shore, eager to be rid of your company. The coastline stretches before you, leading towards the next destination marked on the star map, a treacherous mountain pass. The air grows thin and cold as you begin your ascent. The path is steep and winding, barely more than a goat track clinging to the side of the mountain. Loose rocks and crumbling scree make every step a potential disaster. One wrong move, and you could plummet into the abyss below. You battle fierce winds that whip around you, threatening to rip you from the mountainside. The wind howls like a banshee, carrying with it the whispers of the mountain spirits, testing your resolve and your worthiness. The landscape is stark and unforgiving. Jagged peaks pierce the sky, their summits shrouded in clouds. Glacier cling to the mountainsides, their icy fingers reaching down into the valleys below. The only vegetation is sparse and hardy, clinging to life in the cracks and crevices of the rocks. It's basically the opposite of a tropical vacation. As you climb higher, you begin to feel the effects of the altitude. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, your head throbs with pain, and your limbs feel heavy and weak. You push yourself onward, driven by your determination to reach the summit. Along the way, you encounter other travelers attempting to cross the mountain pass. Some are pilgrims seeking enlightenment, others are merchants transporting goods, and still others are refugees fleeing from war or persecution. You offer them what help you can, sharing your food and water, and offering words of encouragement. You learn their stories, their hopes, and their fears, and you realize that you are all connected, bound together by your shared humanity. You feel a pang of guilt about the sacrifice you made for that city. You wonder if you should have offered that to one of these needy people. One quirky detail about medieval mountain passes is that they were often controlled by bandits, who would prey on travelers and demand tolls for passage. Imagine having to pay a toll to a bunch of mountain trolls just to get to the other side. Historians still debate the extent to which medieval governments were able to maintain control over remote and mountainous regions. The lack of centralized authority and the difficulty of traversing the terrain made it easy for bandits and outlaws to thrive. They didn't exactly have a state trooper on every corner. As you near the summit, you encounter a fierce snowstorm. The wind howls like a hungry wolf, and the snow falls in thick, blinding flakes. You can barely see a few feet in front of you. You huddle beneath a rocky overhang, seeking shelter from the storm. You are cold, wet, and exhausted, and you begin to doubt whether you will make it to the other side. Maybe you should have just stayed in your village and become a shepherd. Just when you are about to give up hope, you see a light in the distance. It is a small, flickering flame, coming from a mountain hermitage. You gather your strength and stumble towards the light, praying that it is not a mirage. You reach the hermitage, and a kindly old monk welcomes you inside. He offers you warm food and drink, and a place to rest by the fire. You are grateful for his hospitality, and you feel a surge of hope. The monk tells you that the mountain pass is a place of transformation, a place where those who are willing to endure the hardships can find enlightenment. He encourages you to persevere, to face your fears, and to embrace the challenges that lie ahead. You spend the night in the hermitage, resting and recuperating. In the morning, the storm has passed, and the sun is shining brightly. You thank the monk for his kindness, and you continue on your journey. As you cross the summit of the mountain pass, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You have overcome a great obstacle, and you are stronger and more resilient than ever before. You know that the path ahead will not be easy, but you are ready to face whatever challenges may come your way. Descending from the mountain pass, you enter a valley bathed in sunlight, a welcome contrast to the harsh and unforgiving landscape you just left behind. The air is still and warm, and the scent of wildflowers fills your nostrils. You feel a sense of peace and tranquility, as if you have entered a different world. According to the map, your next destination is the secluded hermitage of a wise and reclusive hermit, said to possess profound knowledge of the Mirror of Evil. You follow a winding path through the valley, passing through meadows dotted with grazing sheep and babbling brooks teeming with fish. You eventually reach a small clearing, where you find a simple wooden hut nestled among the trees. Smoke curls from the chimney, and the sound of gentle chanting emanates from within. You approach the hut cautiously and knock on the door. A moment later, the door opens, and a wizened old man appears. He has a long, flowing beard, piercing blue eyes, and a serene smile on his face. He is dressed in simple robes, and he carries a staff made of gnarled wood. This must be the hermit. He welcomes you inside, and you enter a small, sparsely furnished room. There is a fire burning in the hearth, a table covered in books and scrolls, and a straw mat on the floor for sleeping. The air is filled with the scent of incense and herbs. The hermit invites you to sit down, and he offers you a cup of herbal tea. You sip the tea, and you feel a sense of calm wash over you. The hermit asks you about your journey, and you tell him about your quest to find the Mirror of Evil. He listens patiently, nodding occasionally and offering words of wisdom. When you are finished, he smiles and says, "The Mirror of Evil is not a thing to be found, but a truth to be realized." He explains that the mirror does not simply reveal your destiny, but rather reflects the potential that lies within you. It shows you who you are capable of becoming if you are willing to embrace your true self. The hermit challenges you to examine your own motivations, to question your assumptions, and to confront your deepest fears. He asks you why you seek the mirror, what you hope to gain from it, and what you are willing to sacrifice to achieve your goals. One quirky detail that the hermit shares is that some medieval hermits were known for their eccentric habits and unconventional beliefs. Some lived in trees, others wore chains, and still others practiced extreme forms of self-denial. Talk about commitment to the solitary life. Historians still debate the role of hermits in medieval society. Were they simply religious fanatics, or did they serve a more important purpose, providing spiritual guidance and acting as a link between the secular and the divine? Or were they just trying to get away from their in-laws? The hermit leads you through a series of exercises designed to help you understand yourself better. He asks you to meditate, to journal, and to engage in self-reflection. He also challenges you to perform acts of kindness and compassion to help those in need and to make the world a better place. He challenges you to consider the nature of identity, the illusions of self, and the power of perception. What is real? What is imagined? And how do we know the difference? It's like a medieval philosophy class, but without the annoying classmates. After several days of intensive self-reflection, you begin to gain a new perspective on your life and your purpose. You realize that the mirror of evil is not something you need to find, but something you need to create within yourself. The hermit tells you that the final step in your journey is to confront your own shadow self, the dark and hidden aspects of your personality that you have been trying to suppress. He explains that you must embrace your shadow, accept it as part of yourself, and integrate it into your conscious awareness. Only then will you be ready to face the mirror of evil and discover your true destiny. So, basically, you need to have a serious conversation with your inner demons. Fun. Following the hermit's guidance, you prepare to confront your shadow self. He instructs you to enter a nearby cave, a dark and echoing space known as the Cave of Echoes. It's said that this cave amplifies your inner thoughts and fears, forcing you to face your deepest insecurities. Sounds like a relaxing afternoon. Armed with nothing but a flickering lantern and your newfound self-awareness, you venture into the cave. The air is cold and damp, and the silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional drip of water. The darkness presses in on you, making it difficult to see. As you delve deeper into the cave, you begin to hear whispers, faint voices that seem to emanate from the walls themselves. They speak of your past mistakes, your failures, and your regrets. They remind you of all the times you have fallen short, of all the opportunities you have missed. The voices grow louder and more insistent, and you begin to feel a sense of shame and guilt. You try to ignore them, but they are relentless, preying on your vulnerabilities and tearing at your self-esteem. It's like your worst critic has taken up residence in your head. As you continue to descend, you begin to see images flickering in the darkness. They are visions of your past, reliving your most painful memories. You see yourself as a child, being bullied by your peers. You see yourself as a teenager, making foolish choices that you later regretted. You see yourself as an adult, failing to live up to your own expectations. The images are vivid and disturbing, and they evoke a range of emotions within you: sadness, anger, fear, and despair. You try to escape from the visions, but they follow you relentlessly, taunting you with your past failures. One quirky detail about medieval beliefs regarding caves is that they were often seen as portals to the underworld, places inhabited by demons and other malevolent spirits. Entering a cave was considered a dangerous act, a transgression against the natural order. So, basically, you're breaking all sorts of ancient taboos right now. Historians still debate the significance of caves in medieval folklore and mythology. Were they simply symbols of the unknown and the dangerous, or did they represent something deeper, perhaps a connection to the earth and the ancient past? or maybe they were just drafty and uncomfortable. As you reach the heart of the cave, you encounter a shadowy figure, a distorted and grotesque representation of yourself. This is your shadow self, the embodiment of all the negative qualities that you have been trying to suppress. The shadow self confronts you, accusing you of weakness, cowardice, and hypocrisy. It tells you that you are not worthy of the mirror of evil, that you are doomed to fail, and that you will never achieve your goals. You are terrified, but you know that you cannot run away. You must face your shadow self, confront its accusations, and prove that you are stronger than your fears. You engage in a heated argument with your shadow self, defending your actions, challenging its assumptions, and asserting your worthiness. You acknowledge your flaws and imperfections, but you also emphasize your strengths and your accomplishments. You realize that your shadow self is not your enemy, but a part of yourself that needs to be integrated and healed. You embrace your shadow, accepting it as a necessary component of your being. As you embrace your shadow, the shadowy figure begins to dissipate, its form dissolving into the darkness. The voices fade away, and the images disappear. The cave becomes silent and still. You have confronted your shadow self, and you have emerged victorious. You feel a sense of liberation and empowerment. You are now ready to face the mirror of evil and discover your true destiny. You are basically a medieval superhero, minus the tights and the catchy theme music. Emerging from the Cave of Echoes, blinking in the sudden sunlight, you find yourself in a place unlike any you've encountered before. The landscape has transformed. The trees are shimmering with an ethereal glow, the flowers are radiating vibrant colors, and the air is filled with a sweet and intoxicating fragrance. This is no ordinary forest, it feels almost enchanted. Before you stands a grand hall, constructed of polished silver and shimmering crystal. It seems to hum with an almost palpable energy. As you approach, the doors swing open, revealing a dazzling interior filled with mirrors of all shapes and sizes. This is the Hall of Mirrors, a place of illusion and deception, where reality is constantly shifting and changing. You step inside, and you are immediately overwhelmed by the sheer number of reflections. Mirrors line the walls, the ceiling, and the floor, creating an endless maze of images. You see yourself multiplied countless times, each reflection slightly different from the others. Some reflections show you as you are now, tired and travel-worn. Others show you as you were in the past, younger and more innocent. Still others show you as you might be in the future, older and wiser, or perhaps just older. As you wander through the hall, the reflections begin to distort and change. Some mirrors show you with exaggerated features, making you appear grotesque and comical. Others show you with idealized features, making you appear beautiful and flawless. One quirky detail about medieval mirrors is that they were often made of polished metal, rather than glass. This meant that the reflections were often distorted and imperfect, adding to the sense of mystery and illusion. Imagine trying to put on makeup in a medieval mirror. Historians still debate the significance of mirrors in medieval art and literature. Were they simply symbols of vanity and deception, or did they represent something more complex, perhaps a reflection of the human soul or a gateway to another dimension? Maybe they just didn't have good lighting back then. As you continue your journey through the hall, you realize that the mirrors are not simply reflecting your physical appearance, but also your inner thoughts and emotions. Some mirrors show you your hopes and dreams, while others show you your fears and anxieties. You see reflections of your past successes and failures, your relationships with loved ones, and your aspirations for the future. You are forced to confront all aspects of yourself, both good and bad. Some of the reflections are tempting, offering you glimpses of a perfect life, a life free from pain and suffering. Others are frightening, showing you the potential consequences of your choices, the paths that lead to ruin and despair. You must learn to discern between the true and the false, between the real and the imagined. You must trust your instincts and your intuition, relying on your inner wisdom to guide you through the maze of illusions. As you approach the center of the hall, you encounter a series of challenges, each designed to test your perception of reality. You must solve riddles, navigate optical illusions, and resist the temptation to believe what you see. One challenge involves a mirror that shows you the world as you want it to be, a world where all your dreams have come true. You are tempted to step through the mirror and live in this perfect world, but you know that it is not real. You must resist the temptation and remain grounded in reality. Another challenge involves a mirror that shows you your greatest fears, your worst nightmares brought to life. You are terrified by what you see, but you know that it is just an illusion. You must confront your fears and overcome them. After completing the challenges, you reach the center of the hall, where you find a single, unadorned mirror. This is the final test, the ultimate challenge to your perception of reality. You gaze into the mirror, and you see nothing. The mirror is blank, reflecting only the emptiness of the hall. You realize that the mirror is not meant to show you something, but to reveal something within yourself. The blank mirror stares back at you, an empty canvas reflecting the emptiness within the hall of mirrors. All around you, the distorted images and illusory reflections seem to fade, their shimmering surfaces growing dull. The hall itself appears to shrink, the grandeur and splendor dissolving into a more ordinary, almost mundane space. You understand now. The Hall of Mirrors was not meant to deceive you with false promises or terrify you with fabricated nightmares. It was meant to strip away the layers of illusion, to reveal the truth that lies beneath the surface. The truth about yourself. Taking a deep breath, you step forward and touch the surface of the blank mirror. As your fingers make contact, a jolt of energy courses through your body, a wave of warmth spreading from your fingertips to your toes. The mirror shimmers, the blank surface swirling like a vortex of light and shadow. Slowly, an image begins to form within the mirror. It is not a reflection of your current self, travel-worn and weary from your long journey. Instead, it is a vision, a glimpse into another realm, another possibility. The image within the mirror shows a chamber, a grand and imposing space filled with ancient artifacts and arcane symbols. The walls are lined with bookshelves overflowing with knowledge, and the air is thick with the scent of old parchment and forgotten magic. In the center of the chamber stands a pedestal, upon which rests a single object, the Mirror of Eitheld. It is not a simple-looking glass, but a shimmering portal, a gateway to other worlds and other possibilities. As you gaze into the mirror, you feel a sense of recognition, a feeling that you have seen this place before, perhaps in a dream or a vision. You realize that this is the final chamber, the place where you are destined to confront your true self and unlock your potential. The mirror shows you a path, a winding staircase leading down into the depths of the earth. You know that this is the way forward, the path that will lead you to the Mirror of Eitheld. With a sense of determination, you step through the mirror, leaving the Hall of Mirrors behind. As you pass through the portal, the world around you dissolves into a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. You feel a sensation of falling, as if you are plunging into an endless abyss. When you finally come to rest, you find yourself standing at the bottom of the staircase, in a dimly lit chamber. The air is heavy and still, and the silence is broken only by the sound of your own breathing. You begin to ascend the staircase, your heart pounding in your chest. The steps are worn and uneven, and the darkness seems to press in on you from all sides. You feel a sense of anticipation, a feeling that you are about to face the greatest challenge of your life. One quirky detail about medieval staircases is that they were often designed with uneven steps to make it difficult for invaders to climb quickly. Imagine trying to make a dramatic entrance when you keep tripping over the stairs. Historians still debate the symbolism of staircases in medieval art and architecture. Did they represent the ascent to heaven, the journey of the soul, or simply a practical means of accessing different levels of a building? Or maybe the architects just like messing with people. As you climb higher, you begin to hear whispers, faint voices that seem to emanate from the walls themselves. They speak of the Mirror of Eitheld, of its power and its potential, and of the responsibility that comes with wielding such a powerful artifact. The voices warn you of the dangers that lie ahead, of the trials and tribulations that you must face in order to claim the mirror. They tell you that the mirror will test you, challenge you, and ultimately reveal your true nature. You reach the top of the staircase, and you find yourself standing before a massive stone door. The door is sealed shut, and there is no visible handle or lock. You realize that you must find a way to open the door in order to proceed. The stone door looms before you, an impassable barrier guarding the final chamber and the Mirror of Eitheld. You run your hands along the cold, unyielding surface, searching for any sign of a mechanism, a hidden latch, anything that might allow you to open it. But there's nothing. Just smooth, ancient stone. You remember the whispers from the staircase, the warnings of trials and tribulations. This must be one of those trials. You rack your brain, trying to recall any clues from your journey, any piece of wisdom that might help you unlock this door. Suddenly, you remember the hermit's words, "The Mirror of Eitheld is not a thing to be found, but a truth to be realized." The truth? What truth could possibly unlock this door? You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and focus on your inner self. You think about your journey, the challenges you have faced, the sacrifices you have made. You think about your fears, your hopes, and your dreams. Slowly, a realization dawns on you. The truth is not something outside of yourself, but something within. The key to unlocking the door is not a physical object, but a state of mind. You open your eyes and look at the door again. This time, you see it not as a barrier, but as a reflection of your own limitations. The door is locked not because of some external force, but because of your own internal doubts and insecurities. You realize that you must overcome these doubts and insecurities in order to open the door. You must embrace your true self, accept your flaws, and believe in your own potential. With newfound confidence, you reach out and touch the door again. This time, you don't feel cold stone, but a warm, vibrant energy. The door begins to glow, and a series of symbols appear on its surface. The symbols are ancient and arcane, but you somehow understand their meaning. They represent the different aspects of your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, your passions, and your fears. As you focus on each symbol, you feel a corresponding emotion within yourself. You feel joy, sadness, anger, and fear. You realize that these emotions are not separate from you, but integral parts of your being. You embrace these emotions, accepting them as valid and necessary. You realize that you cannot deny your true self, but must embrace all aspects of your personality, both good and bad. As you embrace your true self, the symbols on the door begin to glow brighter. The door trembles, and a loud rumbling sound fills the chamber. Slowly, the door begins to open, revealing the final chamber and the Mirror of Eitheld. You step into the chamber, and you are immediately awestruck by its beauty and grandeur. The chamber is filled with light, emanating from the Mirror of Eitheld, which stands on a pedestal in the center of the room. The Mirror of Eitheld is not a simple-looking glass, but a shimmering portal, a gateway to other worlds and other possibilities. Its surface is constantly shifting and changing, reflecting a myriad of images and visions. You approach the mirror cautiously, your heart pounding in your chest. You know that this is the moment of truth, the moment when you will finally discover your true destiny. You stand before the mirror and gaze into its depths. At first, you see nothing but your own reflection, tired and travel-worn. But as you continue to gaze, the reflection begins to change. Your face begins to morph, your features shifting and transforming. You see yourself as you could be, as you are meant to be. The vision isn't always pretty or comfortable. You might see yourself as a leader, a warrior, a healer, or a sage. You see yourself living a life of purpose and fulfillment, making a difference in the world. Gazing into the mirror of Etheld, you are not just seeing a reflection, you are witnessing the culmination of your journey, the unveiling of your true potential. The vision shimmers and solidifies, revealing the path you are meant to tread, the person you are destined to become. The figure in the mirror embodies strength, wisdom, and compassion. It is a leader, guiding others towards a better future. It is a warrior, defending the innocent and fighting for justice. It is a healer, mending broken hearts and soothing wounded souls. It is a sage, imparting knowledge and inspiring enlightenment. This is not a mere fantasy, but a reflection of your innermost self, the person you have always been capable of becoming. It is a calling, a purpose, a destiny waiting to be embraced. You feel a surge of energy coursing through your veins, a sense of empowerment and determination. You know that this is the path you must follow, the life you must lead. But the vision is not without its challenges. The figure in the mirror also bears the scars of battle, the marks of sacrifice, and the weight of responsibility. It is a path fraught with danger, hardship, and uncertainty. You realize that embracing your destiny will not be easy. It will require courage, resilience, and a willingness to face your fears. It will demand sacrifice, compromise, and a constant struggle against the forces of darkness. You consider the implications of your vision. Are you truly ready to accept this responsibility, to dedicate your life to this demanding and uncertain path? Are you willing to sacrifice your comfort, your security, and your personal desires for the sake of a greater good? The answer comes to you, clear and unwavering. Yes. You are ready. You have come too far, faced too many challenges, and learned too many lessons to turn back now. You are prepared to embrace your destiny, whatever it may be. With newfound resolve, you step away from the mirror of Etheld. The vision fades, the chamber dims, and the energy subsides. You are left standing alone in the darkness, but you are no longer afraid. You carry with you the knowledge of your true self, the understanding of your purpose, and the determination to fulfill your destiny. You know that the path ahead will not be easy, but you are confident that you can overcome any obstacle. You turn and walk away from the mirror of Etheld, leaving the final chamber behind. You retrace your steps, ascending the staircase, passing through the hall of mirrors, and emerging back into the sunlight. You are no longer the naive villager who set out on this quest. You are a changed person, a transformed being. You have faced your fears, embraced your true self, and discovered your destiny. One quirky thought enters your mind. You wonder if you should open a medieval self-help retreat. You've certainly got the experience now. You know that your journey is far from over. In fact, it is just beginning. You have a purpose to fulfill, a destiny to embrace, and a world to change. You step out into the world, ready to face whatever challenges may come your way. You are armed with knowledge, wisdom, and courage. You are ready to make a difference. Historians still ponder the enduring power of self-discovery narratives, whether in medieval tales or modern films. Why do we crave stories of transformation, of individuals finding their true selves and embracing their potential? Perhaps it's because these stories offer us hope, reminding us that we too are capable of change, of growth, and of fulfilling our own destinies. You take a deep breath, feeling the sun on your face and the wind in your hair. The world stretches before you, filled with endless possibilities. You smile, knowing that the future is yours to create.